Okay, we're back here at the ESL Pro League Season 5. And you know what? I know it's week 2, but I'm pretty sure it's match day 4 or 5. It's 5. I just wanted to test you to see if you were there, Bach. Obviously, the next matchups we have for you guys are going to be quite interesting ones. We've got OpTic and we've got Immortals. I mean, already enough storyline stuff to talk about there. But with these two teams, I mean, we're used to seeing powerhouse plays.
Yeah, I think that if we were looking at the matches tonight in general, this was going to be the match that ends up being dragged out. Potential overtimes, very close games, 30 rounds, very likely to be seen. I think the map pool as well kind of lends itself to that. And,
you know, I just spoke about storylines, so let's take a look now at the Immortals roster. We're going to put that up right there in front of you guys. Bolts, Henny, Lucas Steele, and FNX. Run me through FNX on this lineup.
So, I mean, FNX obviously was playing with SK. Whatever happened, the team was still performing well, not necessarily winning big events, but placing top 4. But SK was not happy with their results, and they decided to make a change. They cut FNX. He ends up joining Immortals, who lost Phelps to SK. And I think in general, SK definitely wins in that trade, but FNX has, you know, another chance to prove himself at a pro level.
Right. Now, with this lineup, though, in terms of progression with this new player, is it going about on pace as we'd expect? I mean, are we going to see these guys coming out ahead of the pack at the end of the season?
I think they're going to take some time to readjust. I mean, Phelps was a big piece of the puzzle for Immortals. It wasn't like they just lost, you know, a support player. They lost one of their best players potentially. So just plugging FNX in, it's not necessarily going to work right away. I think they have some time to figure things out. I still think that they're a playoff contender. It really comes down to the way their schedule starts at the season and ends. You know, you might have some of those hard opponents up first, where they might be a map you trade 1-1 at the end of the season once the roster's fleshed out, but at the beginning it's an 0-2.
Right. I mean, the players to really look forward to here on the Immortal side of the things, I believe would be Henny right away, right? So you've got your AWP player over there who's had the most impact, or well, had a large impact, I should say, with this team. Can we expect that to have a big play in today's matchups?
It all comes down to economic control. If they can keep that AWP in his hands, absolutely, but with a rifle, he's nowhere near as impactful as he is with that AWP. And we've seen that from them in the past when they were kind of like getting dink and dunk rounds, not necessarily chaining them together. He was unable to hold on to the AWP for long enough to actually make a big impact. And we've seen just how important he is to the attack. And in general, it seems like Brazilian teams are very AWP-centric. They have that strong AWP player. So keeping your money in check is very important.
We're going to take a look at Henny's stats there. Dinking and dunking around, as my main man Bach had said here. This is Henny's stat line across the season, you know, 76 and 71. The KD's there, right? Ish. I mean, you're not too far in the hole. You're not so far separated from the rest of your deaths that, you know, it should stick out one way or the other. But impact kills. That's what Henny's going to have.
Exactly. You can't see that with just raw stat line. You can't look at it like a player's ADR or their kill death and be like, oh, yeah, he's obviously doing nothing. No, you have to actually watch the games and see how the rounds play out. Because he might have, you know, 15 kills in a game, but in like 2 or 3 of those rounds, he had a huge 3K or a 4K. That's the reason he ended up at that stat line.
We're going to take a look at their opposition today. It's going to be OpTic Gaming. You're sitting 4-0 on the season with wins over Selfless and Renegades as we pull that up right in front of you. Tarek, Rush, Naf, and Mixwell. But let's kick this conversation off on a little guy named Hiko.
He's a grown man.
Well, of course.
But, yeah, I mean, a player that we've seen at several international events. There's so much footage of Hiko. Many clutch plays. Obviously, the classic, Hiko, are you kidding me? He's a very talented player, the kind of player you would love to see in that clutch scenario like we talked about in the pre-show. He's a guy that when he's in those clutch situations, that's a huge piece of the puzzle that OpTic now gained. Sure, they lost their in-game leader, but they get that really smart player that can really like dig them out of rounds that maybe they didn't deserve to win.
Now, on paper, though, we do see a ton of firepower here. Right?
Absolutely.
So, you know, we could talk about Tarek picking up that AWP. I think we just have a really versatile team right here. I think if they're able to pull it together and find their groove, kind of like we talked about earlier, these guys should have enough firepower to carry them highly through the season.
I mean, the truth is, like, we talk about all these other players, but the player that I'm looking at most is Naf. Naf has taken the helm of in-game leader. How many times do you see, like, look at Liquid, for instance, when they pass that in-game leadership role around, and you have Elige picking it up, or you have Nitro now doing it. Every time that happened, their stats took a dive. And they kind of proved the whole age-old adage of, oh, the in-game leader's stats always take a hit because he's more focused on the team's play than his own. That did not happen with Naf. Not at all. In fact, he's the best player on the team right now. Statistically, you look at his numbers, he is through the roof. He's like sitting at one of the top players in Pro League across the season so far.
Well, you want to talk about NAF a little bit? We're going to load that up for you. Take a look at it right now. We've got NAF statistics. Now, there's a KD that might stand out to you.
I mean, the fact he's got 106 ADR across 4 games. It's not like they just played one match or one map, and you're like, oh, wow, it's a really good performance. That's sustained now across 4 matches. You could make an argument that the opponents were a little bit softer. They did play Renegades. They did play Selfless. But still, he looked good in all of the maps. And I think it was on Cobble against Renegades. It was like him and Mixwell trying to fight for the more like impressive 4K and 3K. Like it was like back-to-back rounds.
I mean, it was
Mixwell
16-5 scoreline there on Cobble.
Yeah, and I mean, everyone from Renegades was having a rough time except for like Rikke, who's now not even on the team. But, you know, Mixwell and Naf were basically like fighting for who was going to have the better stat line at the end of the map.
No, absolutely. And in terms of this team going forward, obviously you take away Stanislaw, who had the strategic approach to the gameplay for that team. You add Hiko, and then you also we could touch on bringing Peacemaker in as well. What does Peacemaker bring to the table?
So this is something, you know, we had talked about in like the first broadcast. We were talking about that change, bringing in a coach. You know, a coach's impact is only as impactful as the team lets it be. So if the players are not willing to listen, if they don't respect their coach, it's not going to work out. Now, he has some experience working with Hiko because he was the coach once upon a time for Liquid, so that certainly helps. But it seems like, at least on paper, from an outsider's perspective, the coach is definitely boosting the performance a bit. We want to put it all on Naf. He's the in-game leader. But I would like to think that Peacemaker is pulling strings in the background that's basically putting Naf in a position to lead the team properly.
Now, OpTic didn't make it out of groups at DreamHack. Is this lineup a long-term thing? Is this addition of Hiko and Peacemaker, is this going to be a long-term setting there, and they just need to find their roles or their sort of pattern that they want to go with, their trajectory?
That's actually a really big question mark for me. I don't know if they really want to stick with Hiko in the long term. Obviously, Hiko's around. He's been around for a long time. Veteran player, plenty of experience, but he's also played on teams that haven't really found great success. So they might be looking at that and looking at what he's doing for the team. They might want to replace him for maybe someone who's more of an in-game leader and allow Naf to just kind of like frag out and take that responsibility off his shoulders. At the same point in time, you can make the argument for Peacemaker because of the way coaches kind of come and go, I feel like, in CSGO, where they don't stick around for too long. If a team starts losing, the team loses faith in their coach. We could very easily see Peacemaker bow out quickly, too.
Absolutely. I mean, we saw OpTic lose to North, right, at DreamHack Las Vegas. And they lost on Cobble, but it was their map pick. So obviously they were feeling a little comfortable there. They were feeling a little confident going into it. Is that foretelling of what we can expect tonight?
I don't think so. I mean, North is a pretty solid team. I think they actually played the Danish teams back-to-back. I think they played Astralis and North. Not really a fun schedule if you're OpTic, 2 teams that have had pretty good success in recent months. I don't think that really spills over into an online match against Immortals. I feel like Immortals is a more comfortable opponent for OpTic. They've got more experience playing against them, and North had, you know, all the hype coming into the event. They played pretty well. I can't look at that game and be like, yeah, you know, maybe OpTic's slipping on Cobble.
Maybe, maybe not. I mean, it's definitely one of those situations, though. If you're feeling comfortable and confident enough to pick a map, you might have a couple tricks up your sleeve. Albeit, this is a newer iteration. They're trying newer things over there at OpTic. So, I mean, the sort of path we need to see them take tonight on either side, I think OpTic just needs to take the fight out there. We do know that they have all this firepower. They need to have that sort of confidence not only in their map picks and things of that sort, but as individual players. They need to get out there and get in their face, kind of like we just saw Cloud9 do in these past 2 maps, albeit in a different opponent and setting and environment and all that. They need to get out there and they need to take the fight to them.
I mean, that's what we saw from OpTic in their first match when they played Cobble against Renegades. They started like getting pretty aggressive, putting themselves in positions to get 2 or 3 kills before Renegades could really react to it. I think we're going to see more of that tonight if they get off to a strong start. That's a big if, though, because on the other side of the coin, Immortals is also a solid Cobble team. So I really don't think that it's going to be OpTic just running the table. I think that Immortals is going to put up a big fight.
Well, standing by, we've got Eric DeBear Stromberg, who's going to run us through a little bit of OpTic's Cobble. Take it away, DeBears.
Thank you, Stunna. Here we're going to take a look at OpTic on Cobble. One thing to note is that they lost pistol round. They decided to buy up with pistol armor and a scout, and here they go. They're going to send Mixwell and Hiko towards this A halls as North is doing a 4 towards middle A kind of setup. Going to try to push back OpTic. Now, OpTic does a very nice job here with Hiko and Mixwell's crossfire. As you see here, Mixwell's going to take the shot first. He's going to try to bait them into Hiko. He gets a nice kill on AZ, and then Hiko is able to swing out on them, get 2 kills, and now it's, as you look, the bomb's down, pause it, bomb is down, all right? 5 on 2, you have the numbers game. You have 2 options at this point. You could either guard the bomb, everyone starts to rotate, okay? You stick it, you guard the bomb, you're on the same page. Or if you want to stay B because maybe you don't like the spot that it's in, you want to kind of, play it safer, fall back, completely fall back, play in the bomb sites, and, just play the number game, sit in a crossfire or something. But no, they decided to stay with the bomb. OpTic's not rotating. Now they get 2 kills. It's now a 3 on 2 in favor of OpTic, and even more mistakes now. Nafly is trying to take a one-on-one angle against 2 riflers, okay? His teammates are eventually coming to help him, but it's too late. He gets picked off, and then Rush tries to peek again, another one-on-one, and now a 5 on 2 turned into a 1 on 2 in favor of North. So, I mean, against high-level play, against top-quality teams, you can't do that. Your timing has to be crisp. You have to communicate, be like, hey, let's peek now, and you both peek at the same time. Even right here, they were off by a couple milliseconds, and that's a huge thing in high-level CS. So, hopefully, OpTic will be able to clean this up in the future. Back to you, Stunna.
Thank you, DeBears. And, I'm just going to throw this out there. Tracksuit DeBears, best DeBears.
Yeah, I'm not liking this, bank teller DeBears. I want the tracksuit DeBears back.
Absolutely, but you look beautiful no matter what. We're going to go to a short commercial break. When we come back, Blue and Daze will be taking it away, and we're going to head into this Cobble matchup between OpTic and Immortals, so you better not go anywhere. We'll be right back.
I can't understand people watching somebody play a computer game.
It's still not a sport.
It shouldn't be on a sports network.
But I don't know if athlete is the right word.
It's important to be part of the Pro League because it's sort of the premier league for all the North American pro teams, and also it gives you the opportunity to make the LAN finals and play against some of EU's best as well.
With the sponsor Mountain Dew, can be really good for up-and-coming players. It feels amazing to have this opportunity, and I'd never take it for granted, that's for sure.
Start your esports career now at play.eslgaming.com.
We play for the legacy. We play for the prestige. We play for the glory. We play for one goal.
Whoa, he got out! He goes down. He's in the form of his life. He was a champion!
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the ESL Pro League. A little bit of a delay with getting this match started, but I think we're almost ready to go. Once again, it is going to be OpTic Gaming taking on the Immortals here. OpTic Gaming obviously having an interesting change-up recently, and as they have the really full IGL with Stanislaw, now they've gone down the more of like the coaching role by having Peacemaker step in. Is that like still the right way to go, considering the limitations that have now been put on coaches?
With Immortals?
No, with OpTic.
Oh, with OpTic, yeah. They have Peacemaker, but I don't think he's in-game leading or anything.
No, yeah.
Wait, so what's your question?
Just, I mean, well, I would assume he's still taking over, like he's still trying to take over and sort of leading with like formulating the strats and whatnot for the team.
I mean, if you get the right guy who could, translate that into the players and the type of talent you have on the team, then absolutely, I think it could help a lot. I think it depends on what type of leader you have, though, and whatnot, and how he works with the players with a coach. I think sometimes it could help, and I think sometimes, in some cases, it could even hurt, to be honest. Because if the coach just doesn't really know what he's talking about and oversteps his boundaries, and then you have like two different philosophies, and they kind of, whatever. Let's get into the pistol.
Getting into the match now, it is Mixwell that's going to open things up against Henny, boosting him up on top of the wall. They counter it back out. Rush, he's also got Bolt stuck in a corner here. They saw that one. FNX is going to try to hold back over here on the sidewalk. He's able to pick up one kill, but very quickly he's traded back out. Steel coming up on the backside, finding one more, but he is going to be the last player standing and will very quickly get traded out by NAF.
Yeah, very, very bursty split right after they make contact, and even though Immortals had almost all 5 players there while the take was happening, I mean, you had 3 players there immediately, and then you had 2 guys coming. We're getting into the fight very early on in that take, but OpTic hits the shots. They, flank FNX while he's at that wood wall and are able to pick up that round. Now, anti-ecos are actually pretty troublesome, in my opinion, on Cobble. I think there's a lot of good Mag 7 spots, a lot of good close CZ spots that you could play, especially at, long B. So This is not a guaranteed round by any means for OpTic, even though they have, obviously, much superior weaponry.
We can see Naf is going to be first out to bat here. Just to check over towards the broken wall approach. Immortals are actually holding pretty passively for the most part, with the exception of Steel holding up there on the shotgun. Everybody else playing to default positions and whatnot. We do have the players push back out over there on A long, but they're not going to spot him. It's going to be Steel swinging up, gets the kill on a Tarek, but is very quickly traded back down. Nade pressure is still here for the Immortals, though. They did invest into this round, but unfortunately, it's not going to do all that much, or at least not as much as they would have liked here. FNX being knocked out there by Rush. They know they have Bolt stuck in the corner over there. Very, very clean. Despite how kind of slow this is from OpTic, it's still very clean, and that's allowing them to push to this one with minimal losses on this round, as they've already brought it down to just Lucas and Henny. Hiko getting the bomb down there. They know that Lucas is hiding behind the main doorway somewhere, and they should have a pretty good idea that Henny's going to regroup with him in a second as well. So as they get smoked back out, it's pretty much OpTic in full control here.
Yeah, we'll see if the Twins can do anything about, getting a couple more guns down, or maybe picking something up and salvaging it for the next round, allowing you to try to chip away at the economy more and more if you're OpTic. So we'll see what if they're able to do that. OpTic just going out for, very, very simple strategy. Just kind of make sure they're not being flat pushed. They trade on the shotgunner close. Target goes down, but, they get out into the site without any more casualties.
Well, we've got Henny waiting down below in the corner here, and he's got his teammate actually supporting him pretty well, so they kind of bait them into a trap situation there in order to take down Hiko. One more player goes down. None of the remaining members of OpTic, though, are going to challenge that, so they just decided to surviving there with 3 in a row. Obviously, excuse me, that one kill there combined with a shotgun kill at the start is all they're going to get out of that one, though.
Yeah, and with that spot that Steel was playing, I kind of prefer, maybe if he wouldn't have jumped up and fully committed, maybe stayed on the ground. I don't think jumping up like that really, got him that kill or anything. I think if he would have gotten on the ground, he probably, would have gotten a kill and actually been able to stay away and stay alive and maybe even won that round.
Well, Nap is going to run right up this time. Really, a lot of them try to force their way into the bomb site, but it's actually not working out so well. Lucas grabbing 2 kills from drop. Rush trading out here, but another nade rolls in, eliminates Rush. Nap still able to pick up a kill against Steel as well, but it's down to a 2v2, and one of the members of OpTic is heavily injured. That's Nap sitting down at 8 HP. He goes to the full. They're going to try to swing this over to the A bomb site. The Immortals haven't caught on to this one just yet. They're still sitting below broken wall, so they're going to be a bit slow to catch on to this one, but in a second, they have to realize something's up and rotate over there, but definitely not, definitely not quickly enough, as OpTic are still going to be able to basically waltz right up here and hopefully find a plant still.
Yeah, and Lucas already has a 3K. They just did a very, very fast drop in B split. Lucas gets 2 Deagle kills there and picks up the ump, still has half armor. Naf only on 8 HP. Hiko walking very, very slowly towards the site. He has bombs, so they're relying on him to clear anything and then get the plant down. He should be able to very easily. Walking around, taking his time, not making any mistakes, not letting anybody surprise him. So he's going to be able to get the bomb down. And now this is going to be very crucial. It's going to be Naf who's going to fight Henny here. And if Henny can get this kill and then Lucas could stay alive, they could definitely 2v1 Hiko.
Naf, it looks like he's not going to be able to meet Henny the way that he would have liked to. He's working his way up suicide to flank out Hiko through the long A entryway right now. Lucas, though, is taken down by Naf at 8 HP, and they find Henny, so a beautiful closeout from OpTic, and they do get to go on the 3-0 start off here. Unfortunately, they take a whole lot of damage along the way, so this is still great for the Immortals, assuming they're able to still close out here on the first gun round.
Nice little spot by Lucas there, hiding behind the box a little bit. Everybody checks the window there, but after you check the window, you kind of take your eyes off of it. He's tucked in the corner a little bit more than that, so get some freebie shots on the OpTic guys. They don't even throw a flash or anything, it looked like. Now they're going to more of a default strategy. Mixwell opping on the T side. They like to switch it up though. Sometimes Mixwell ops, sometimes Tarek ops. Sometimes even Naf will pick it up. So they kind of get the op done by committee over on this OpTic team. And they slowly work into just an A-long type setup. They're going to take control here, take any type of battles. And we'll see if once they take map control, which is going to be given to them for free. Henny's opping very far back. So all this is open. You're not going to see any type of a confrontation here in these A halls. And they will take map control. And we'll see if they execute off that and try to hit A, or if they maybe go back to B once they kind of spread the defense out from Immortals and have 2A committed.
Yeah, so they're all swinging themselves back around here now. And although they do get themselves this free control, there's still smokes in one that's going to get in their way when they try to actually push up towards the bomb site. So they won't be able to succeed in pushing in here just yet. Going under a minute on the clock now, so they are going to be pressured to make a decision soon if they want to swing this in the other site. But in the meantime, the Immortals have managed to put a second player over here. No longer is it just going to be Henny defending it from the back platform there on the A side. He also has bolts to help him out a little bit as well if the need should arise. But they might regret that in a second, as the play is definitely switching itself over towards the other site. But at the same time, there's a nice stack here from the Immortals side as well. Lucas is preparing just down below. The Molotov's actually going to hit him, so he has to run away from this one, but he's able to duck back out. He counter mollies up on top, and that basically saves his life. So if that wasn't there, they could have very easily just pushed back over and took him down before he was able to even retreat out of the window or even into the alternate room. Now, spraying into it, he knows the pressure's coming. The flashbang, knows he's going to leap in. They leap right into him. 2 kills for Lucas. Tries to go for the third, but Naf is going to put him down before he can get any further. Now the rotations are swinging back in. They're actually going to crunch this over towards A here. Henny finding one more, and it seems like it was a good thing they did put the second player up on this site. Henny holding it up. They've got even more insurance sitting on the site. If he does end up going down, he's going to chime in for a second one against Naf, and it's down the Mixwell. No time left, and just as that timer is about to expire, Bolts eliminates the last man alive for OpTic, putting the Immortals onto the board.
That was a really, really cool flashbang by OpTic. If you look right before Lucas gets these 2 kills and then gets taken out by Naf, they threw a really cool pop flash in order to push him off. Luckily for I believe it was Lucas there, he wasn't looking at it. But it was a pretty cool idea by OpTic. But I mean, at the end of the day, they executed and they actually tried to split A with bomb and drop with about 25 seconds left. So if that bomb goes down anywhere in the connector, it's going to be a very sloppy take and an easy round for Immortals to win. And they shut that down pretty clean there. So that's because Immortals had success on those anti-ecos where Lucas was able to get the 3 kills in that third round. Steel was able to get that mag 7 kill in that first round as well, and then another kill later in that round. Puts OpTic on basically a save. Normally you see this first gun round, even if the T's lose it, they're able to buy that second, but because of that economic damage, they have to save here.
And Henny's going to be able to spot them crossing their way into the mid-connector here right now, and he might actually get a chance at plenty of kills, but in fact, it's only 1. He stays out there as multiple players from OpTic peek, and Tarek is immediately going to get the Wanding onto him. Lucas trying to go for a fast rotate, but the timing on that smoke, very unfortunate for him. Bolts, however, who swung back out through the balcony, chimes in for 2, even gets himself a third before finally going down to Nap, and Nap is pretty much done after that one. FNX finds the quick trade, and the Immortals will get their second.
Yeah, Bolts with a quick rotate over towards A, and he's switching his spot. He used to play the B plat guy, used to be their main B guy. Steel has taken that over, and now he's playing the A rotator. So look for him to rotate across the map and you know, help support Henny here as Henny goes down 1-for-1 for them. Bolts gets those 3 kills before going down to save that round.
We do have OpTic again splitting their way up early on in the round here. Not going to be trying to early aggress or trying to get that pressure into the sites early on here. Pretty much the same thing for the Immortals, that they've done an even 3-2 split across the map here. That might change in a second, as obviously they've been quite diverse in terms of what they've been doing with their A presence so far in these first 5 or 6 rounds. So we may see that change up a little bit, but for now, everything's quiet across the battlefield. As OpTic pretty much just form up in the exact same way they did in the previous round, just outside of the mid-connector here, getting ready to push in these smokes and whatnot to get control of this initial staging area. But as they round back outside, Steel is waiting, gets 1, tries for more, but Naf is going to trade before that can be done. Now the rest are pushing back up, but they've got to be quick. The rotations are well on their way. Bolts still holding in the alleyway over here behind the plywood, and they haven't even gotten beyond the broken wall sitting over here, or the ramp wall, I should say, up on top just yet. Bolts chiming in for another one. He almost has eliminated Tarek, too. Got him to 17 HP. Finally, he's going to meet his maker against Hiko. But still, everybody else from the CT side is here. They're ready for this kind of a hit, and he's just lost his last teammate there, too. That's Henny knocking out Tarek. So all Hiko has to control right now is the alleyway, and that's not going to let him a lot of room to go back over to the ramp to retrieve the bomb. So the second he crosses, Henny shuts him down, and, well, we're going to be even off of that.
Yeah, and Henny goes towards B, ops around the chicken coop. Steel takes his position and plays towards middle. Definitely could have had more kills. If he would have killed Rush a little bit cleaner, I think he would have definitely been ready for that swing out. Actually was in position to maybe get 2 or 3 after that. Goes 1-for-1 though, and then the rotate comes. Bolts hold strong at the wood wall, and they end up taking the round pretty clean. I know they only had 2 alive, but I didn't see any chance for OpTic to really win that round. Puts them back on a save, and after that pistol and those 2 anti-ecos, Immortal fights back, makes it 3-3, and looking to take the lead here.
Yeah, as the guys from OpTic are just going to be put onto another eco round. Deagles and PT50s are all they have to work with here. And again, shuffling directly outside of that mid-connector. After sort of playing around with the map a little bit here, Tarek, I think, is going to try to toy with drop, but he's the only one in B that will be doing that. Everybody else is pushing out either through that mid-connector that was mentioned previously or directly in towards long A. Now, the good news for them is that if Tarek can distract for long enough here towards drop, the only one that's actually there defending A right now is going to be Bolts. So if they can sort of overwhelm him, they may at the very least be able to get control of the site and get a plant. Post-plant is still going to be very rough, considering that it's only going to be this guy here. You're not really going to find yourself a whole lot of upgrades or anything like that, but Bolts seems ready for this one. He is trying to hold off a pressure from both sides of that take, as he does find the first kill. Again, pulls back a little bit. Now has his support from Steel on the cross with the doorway there. handling this one very nice. Even Tarek's attempt to go back down into the B-bomb site has pretty much failed. Henny managed that very nicely with the op. They're just whittling them down one by one at this point. His Rush is now the last man standing with 37 HP. They know where he's at. They've got him cornered. There's not really a whole lot of places for him to run. He's hoping for a lucky headshot or two, but not meant to be. It's a clean one from the Immortals.
Yeah, and they take the lead, and you know, OpTic, I'm really curious to see if they're going to be able to keep any of what Stanislaw kind of implemented in this team that, you know, showed, you know, helped them achieve a lot of success. I saw a lot of really, and we see it now with Liquid, a lot of really clever strategies in especially 3v3s or 4v4s, a lot of good CT side rotates and adaptations. And I'm curious how much OpTic is going to keep from that, because that was what I think it was one of their main strengths as a team.
We have Henny again, is now going to play himself over here at the edge of A-Long, right now inside of the suicide steps. But for the rest of OpTic, again, this has been their go-to, which has been hanging out outside of that mid connector. We've seen this already used 4 or 5 times in the half. So it has been their go-to style of play, while only keeping Naf at the moment outside of the B-bomb site to possibly toy around with that in a few moments here. This nade, again, not going to be a huge deal here. And after not seeing anything for these first couple of seconds, he does start to expect aggression in his direction. So Henny actually falls back and waits at the edge of A-Long, almost connecting on that option, actually. Just a second or two later, and he might have been able to sink that onto one of the players. But OpTic, nonetheless, do get control of Long A and the mid connector itself to try and go for this push up to the site. It is kind of trapped a little bit, though, as they have the full 2-player commitment. Both Bolts and Henny are sitting here waiting, focusing on Long, and Henny, I imagine, playing a little bit further back to watch for the push out onto the ramp there. He's got a perfect angle spot for that one. And reinforcements are not that far away either, as you already have Lucas hanging out towards the window there and drop. And while Naf may be able to eliminate him, if more than likely he ends up failing at it, and that's going to be a third player right up in their face just a few seconds after this take begins. So finally, at 25 seconds again, they will attempt to go for this one. They call off the drop play, but there's Bolts already waiting for this one. He actually does underestimate the amount of players that are going to push out from there, so he's dropped to 12 HP in this bit of a battle here, eliminated by a nade thrown in by Mixwell, but Henny still sitting in the backside, and they've got players peeking out from the doorway here too, and this is what I was talking about with the fast rotations. They do not have enough time to get up to this bomb site now. 4v2 this has been brought down to. Henny and Lucas just execute those last players with no problems at all, and again, it's another relatively clean round for the CT side.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. Every single gun round so far, they pushed back A. The first gun round, they tried to do a drop to A split, got shut down. The next gun round, they pushed back A, they got in position, and instead of waiting at all, they quickly executed and got mowed down. And now they pushed back A and tried to do a full A exec and got shut down once again. So they're basing everything off of this post-A control, but you know, and Immortals isn't even really doing anything too crazy. I mean, they're not like super over-rotating. They're not even having B plat control and rotating a bunch of people there. Lucas is just sitting drop. He kind of has an early rotate. Just Bolts and Henny are just, you know, they see that their take is coming. They delay them. They each individually get kills, and then the rotate comes. And while they're, after Henny and Bolts get those individual kills, then the OpTic guys trade a lot of the time on Henny or Bolts, or it takes a while. And by then, the rotate comes. They're able to get those kills and just get shut down from there. So no success off this OpTic default.
As the rest of OpTic do shuffle down and drop here again. They'll smoke off the transition room, but this could bite back badly as the Molotov is holding them at the very edge. If that spreads in the wrong direction, they're going to be goners real quickly. Thankfully, it doesn't, though. And now they flash outside, but Lucas is here, gets one. Thankfully, the opponent jumping around does distract for long enough, but Nav's going to kill a teammate in the process. This is going to be chaotic now. Ends up 3v2. The T's only have control of the site connector right now. Hiko and Tarek both kind of stuck in here. They still have the bomb under their wraps, but 40 seconds left. They'll smoke off the doorway to allow them access over to the A-bomb site, where again, they have to deal with Henny if they go in there, and he's certainly expecting them both to push back in from this direction. That's already been confirmed. He'll take up a position to counter out this exact type of a push, and as they round around it now, he's actually not watching out for the balcony, but I think he has coverage towards it. That's not too big of a deal. He can hear them moving up to the site now, and he's got to be quick on the flick, but no! Stuck in the corner, switches over to his pistol. He'll be eliminated by Tarek, and now we're even again, and the Immortals have to go for a fast rotate. FNX already pushing his way up to the door, but it's going to take another 10 seconds or so for Steel to get into a position here, but FNX doesn't care. He goes right for it and lines up at a headshot angle against Hiko, who's going to have no problem at all eliminating FNX. So Steel's got a 1v2 to worry about, and he does have the flank. For theory, that first one should have been easy to get, but a little bit trigger happy there. It does give away his position very, very early on, and now they know exactly where he's playing from, but there's the headshot we were looking for. Knocks out Hiko. One more to go on Tarek, but he's being flanked. However, he spots it, flips around, and now he's chasing that kill. Tarek's only got a Tech 9, and he cannot hold it off. So Steel comes in with a 1v2 clutch, and the Immortals get to keep their lead going.
Yeah, and I think that was a big mistake by OpTic there. They got themselves into a 2v1. Tarek able to get 2 really, really big kills onto Henny and FNX, and they should have played 2 1v1s there. If they play 2 1v1s, Tarek can stay alive behind that APC for a very, very long time, just toying with them, and Hiko could do the same with the site. I don't think Steel probably wins that round. Instead, they try to peek him at the same time. The angles aren't there. He picks off Hiko pretty quickly, and then Tarek not able to trade off of it. You know, it just isolates him into a 1v1.
And Henny okay, hold on, Henny. Very aggressive there in the opener. And he'll lose about 2/3 of his HP for nothing. As the rest of OpTic finally actually shying away from that basic hold outside of the mid connector that they've been doing so often here. And they do put a little bit of pressure on the broken wall approach this time, along with keeping a couple players in the back B halls.
Yeah, but the thing is, Immortals is adapting to that. They're saying, hey, every gun round they've gotten A and they've gotten crushed. Henny, just hold it by yourself for now, you know? He's not under any threat of getting pushed back. Look at this. Look at how many players they have towards B right now. Bolts decides to go over towards A. He's basically playing it by himself, and Henny opping the chicken coop right now. So they're really overplaying this B site because they're not, you know, they've dominated them on all their A takes, and they assume they're going to adapt.
Volley's all over the place here, but there's also one up top. Rush doesn't care that he takes the risk on it. I mean, it sort of works. He gets the kill, but is then traded out because of the Molotov still on the ground, sitting directly behind him there. So that allows the CTs to hold control of drop for now. The play from OpTic, though, is going to shift back over towards A again, where you are going to be relying primarily not on Henny, as he's actually gone into the B-bomb site, but on Bolts to try and hold this from further back behind the shed sitting up on the site, or the little building that sits there. So Smokes and whatnot will cover things off. Bolts himself is really waiting for a cross towards the APC, but I don't think he's going to be fed it anytime soon. Just duck into this corner, which is exactly where the Molotov's going to move towards. He's already down at 14 HP after all is said and done. And I think they're sort of just cleaning up here on this A-bomb site. It's down to Henny and Steel. I don't actually think they're going to make an attempt at a retake. More than likely they're just going to fall back into the B-halls and save.
Yeah, FNX's flash actually caught Bolts there, so he pretty much had no chance because he got blind by his FNX's flash, his own teammate, and then he dropped down into cover because of that flash. And by then, OpTic threw a molly right where he was. So clears them out, and I like what OpTic did actually. I like that they ended up going A. I think you give Immortals, you know, too much room if you just. It's just obvious. It's just obvious if you go A like 3 different times and then you get smashed and then you're just like, all right, this isn't working, and then you go B. I think it's too obvious. So I actually like what they did. They showed a little bit of a difference, and then they actually went back A, anticipating that Immortals did that preemptive adaptation, and it worked out very well for them. So. Immortals, although they do lose the round, they still have pretty good funds. They're going to be able to buy up fully here. And OpTic won with 4 alive. So I'm assuming even if they lose this upcoming round, I think they will end up buying, that they will have enough money. So this is where OpTic has a chance to really make a run, really end up, you know, maybe even winning this half if they can win this round.
Well, we do have them going back to the basics in terms of their strats.
Or get a lot of kills and then win the next round, I should say. Well, they kind of have 2 chances here.
We do have Henny to try to push back out again. And in the meantime, Naf as well, almost being able to spot out the player that pushed up towards Broken Wall. FNX just barely gets himself out of there. But at the same time, this peek here, he's going to have to be careful. The player with the chicken coop has not revealed himself yet. And there you go. Steel walks right out, has the perfect angle advantage against Naf, so he's going to have no problem whatsoever eliminating him and giving the guys from the Immortals a bit of a man advantage to start things out. This is not where the play is going to happen towards, though. It's once again shifting over towards a direct A hit. Bolts looking like for a second there he might have wanted to play out aggressively towards it, but instead just resolves to molly it off. Mixwell down at 76, and he may go down lower here in a second with that nade. That was about 20 to 30 damage overall between 2 players, so nothing fantastic off of that one. But in they go, they prepare for this one, and they meet their first mark. That's Henny gone down. Now Bolts really has to shine. There's nowhere else to fall back towards here. They're going to smoke off the doorway. That cross ain't going to help them, and they aren't going to be able to get a lot of help from the shed area there either. They do drop down, but Mixwell with a perfect flick on the Lucas decimates him, eliminating him from the mound here. But now FNX and Bolts are trying to trade, but it's not enough here. It's down to Steel, and he's spotted pushing out from that smoke by Hiko, as he'll finish things off and allow OpTic to now come within 1 round of tying this up.
Yeah, we'll see if Immortals decides to buy here. They have 2 guys on pretty good money, but everybody else is going to be pistol, half armor, maybe mag 7. It looks like they are going to save, so they're going to be... Oh, no, they do decide to buy. Excuse me. Henny picks up the op. Steel has enough to buy whatever here. And wait, never mind. So they didn't fully buy. Henny has an op, and then there's like a few pistols. So very a strange buy coming out from Immortals here. We'll see if Henny can make anything happen with this OpTic's a huge nade, already down to 50 HP. Bolts takes a big nade as well, and they're making it tough on these guys to find any early opening.
Glass Cannon Op is also what he's playing with here right now too, so no armor sitting behind him to support it, just holding these close angles, and the flick is too far to the right, so it's not going to make its connection. Down goes that huge investment from the Immortal side of things, and immediately they're down to a 5v4 with all just pistols to work with here. Now perfectly set up to counter out the aggression on that push with the smoke, so full control for them. Steel and Bolts, there's really nothing they can do. It's going to be a 6th round for OpTic.
Yeah, well, it's going to be 6-6, and I'm not sure about Immortals' money because of that light purchase that they did. I'm assuming they're going to buy in this upcoming round, but Henny's probably going to be on a shotgun, or maybe he'll drop it to Steel, and then Steel will buy an op, is what I'm assuming is going to happen.
Just getting aggressive there to hunt down the last two, ending this round as quickly as possible. Neither of them survive, and neither will do any damage to the OpTic side of things as all 5 survive in this one. It is a clean take on what was essentially just an upgraded pistol round beyond that op, and that was managed as well without a single connected shot from the T side. So nicely done. And now again, they'll be tested here as another reinvestment comes in from the Immortals side, but it's not going to be great. As mentioned previously, we have that shotgun sitting on Henny because he spent so much cash in the last round. Steel and Lucas are able to get full buys, but Lucas only gets it because he downgrades to a UMP. For Bolts and FNX, they're able to get M4s, but all they have sitting behind that is a smoke.
Yeah, so Henny actually does get the shotgun, so they don't buy him or drop him an op. And they have pretty limited utility, so they decide that, I mean, it's a pretty basic setup by them, and OpTic's just setting up into a full B take right now.
And looking to execute it very quickly as well, since we have smokes and all that already being deployed out over here onto the bomb site. Molotovs too. The CTs obviously aren't going to be able to get a whole lot of vision, but it's kind of the same story for the Ts. This could work out badly for them if they don't account for the power that's been brought into this round by the Immortals, specifically like that. There you go. Seal and FNX chiming in for 2 kills. Hiko's been hit a little bit there too. FNX, last one to pick up a kill here, but all quiet since then. Now chiming back in from the tree position, and finally the smoke start to fade away, so the Ts can impact here a little bit as well. Rush so far the only one picking up these kills, but he's going to go down to Bolts, and that'll be the closeout. The Immortals do keep their lead going.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure those were some botched smokes by OpTic. I think there was just massive gaps between them. I don't think FNX was just on top of the rock and killing them all. I think there was a huge gap on the other side as well. So while they were taking the site, they played a retake setup, and you expect to be able to get the bomb down freely and take site control freely in case of that retake setup happens. But the gaps in the smoke, the guy boosted on the rock just dismantles them while they're entering the site. Even though NAF got into a great position, the bomb wasn't able to go down. They make it 3v5 for free, essentially, and by then, it's too little too late for the OpTic guys.
So now OpTic coming on one of the last rounds of the half here, splitting themselves up again, but it's still basically your default pattern, and the Immortals have shown that they've been able to handle these quite easily if they don't screw up and give away 1 or 2 of their players early on here. So they do have a lot of aggression working its way out from the B halls here, and Lucas sits at the bottom of the drop room. He's gonna have to fall back. It doesn't take a whole lot of damage, just about a quarter of his HP getting knocked off there from the Molotov. So he falls back, he kind of gets ready for this one, and he counter mollies up top too, so that is gonna hold the T drop players from pushing in, and they've got a second molly ready for it as well to stop them from pushing back in. So more than likely those plans are going to get canceled or just delayed for a few seconds here. Bolt's even waiting at the A long entry point. Knows that there's someone around the corner. He's not going to challenge it. Same thing for Henny, though. They both just sit and wait for the actual push to come in, and it never will as Hiko's sitting back. Finally, though, the Ts will be able to get access towards drop. Lucas can't see anything because of the nice smoke setup they do deploy on that side, so it prohibits him from doing much unless he wants to cross against it. In the meantime, Bolt's finding his first kill, but that's traded out by Rush. Lucas still wants to go back in here and counter out this push from the OpTic side, but the smoke is sitting there. It's not going to be there for much longer, though, so these guys on OpTic, they do need to actually push out and go for some site control, and the problem is Broken Wall right now. Steel finally taking down Tarek, goes up to there, and Mixwell picking up an additional kill. He's the only one making progress at Broken Wall right now, but it might be enough progress in its own right, but then he overpeaks with his pistol out. Naf, however, trading again on the Bolts, and this goes to a 1v1. Lucas trying to take down Naf. With only 11 seconds left, Naf has to get the bomb on the site. Lucas just waits for him to cross back out. He spots the rifle, and there you go. The perfect setup from Lucas, and he clutches out the 1v1.
Yeah, and Lucas played that 1v1 very, very well. I thought Rush played it very good and dropped as well. But like you said, they were coming out from Broken Wall, and, you know, Immortals are getting the best of them when they're actually trying to take the site. Mixwell gets 2 nice kills there. And if you notice, Lucas has been playing drop the exact same way every single round, and they just cannot seem to counter it. He just sits right underneath it, right on the plank. They're not nading him or anything like that. And then he just throws a counter molly as soon as they molly below him. And it's causing OpTic a lot of troubles as they just set up in a quick B-take right now.
Last round of the half, and they're going right for it, but it is going to be delayed by Molotov on the CT side. Now, first one out, can't do anything about it. He's getting ready to jump back over the broken wall, though, and he's immediately just pummeled on by Steel. Two more did make it across the threshold. It's going to be one of those two that managed to trade out the kill into FNX here. Steel from over here in the chicken coop. Unfortunately, the Molotov, he doesn't even realize it's there. Hiko, he'll finish the kill. Lucas is able to trade out one more, but Hiko impacting here gives them the advantage, gives them the sight control. Henny, though, through the smoke, pre-fires on the Tarek, destroying him right there. Now we're even. He finds a second one, traded up by Rush, but Bolts closes out the job there, and it's going to be the Immortals that lead the path coming out of the first half. 9-6 is going to be the scoreline. We got ourselves a good match, ladies and gentlemen, so you don't want to miss the second half. It's coming up in just a few minutes, right here at the ESL Pro League.
ESL Pro League is brought to you in part by Logitech G, Pay Safeguard, Mountain Dew League, and ESEA.
Welcome back again, ladies and gentlemen. We are in the midst of our first map here between the Immortals and OpTic Gaming. It's a close set indeed, and OpTic, well, unfortunately, a bit of a repetitive T side did not allow them to pick up as many rounds as they would have liked. They're down currently 6-9 coming off of the Immortals' CT side, and now they have to look to reclaim it right from the beginning of this one on the pistol round. Dazed. Let's talk about, going into the second half now, some changes we need to see from OpTic on their CT side, excuse me.
Well, they won the T-side pistol, they won the 2 falling anti-ecos, and whenever you go up 3-0 on T-side of Cobble, you definitely expect to win, more than just 6 rounds. I think you're usually looking at an 8+ half, but Immortals just crushed their A default. They tried to do everything off an A default and then mix it up after that. Immortals didn't even really do anything like taking risky setups or anything like that. Their guys just held strong at all their spots, and the rotates came in pretty quickly. There was never like a lurker or anything like that. It was always a 5-man take. There was nobody keeping people at the other side of the site, and because of that, Immortals always, not only were Henny and Bolts doing a good job of holding A itself, but their rotators came in time to trade kill off any of their deaths. And I gotta say, this OpTic T side looked very different than what I think it looked like when they had Stanislaw, and I think the loss of Stanislaw is huge. I think it's one of the biggest, gut-wrenching losses OpTic could have had. I don't think, even though he wasn't the biggest fragger on their team, I don't think any player was as irreplaceable as him.
So at the beginning of this round, we already see Tarek kind of peeking into the belly of the beast as he tried to work his way out towards A long there. Spotted a whole mess of players from the Immortals, but was not able to actually get taken down. He survives the encounter, falls back. Problem is, though, is that there was a large amount of CT-sided players that did rotate off of that one, so the defenses on B are going to be slightly weaker. But, again, they've also just spotted the plays. They should be able to rotate in this one, but they are still being challenged from the other direction, too. So a lot of confusion, I'm imagining, as Henny just executing these guys one by one. FNX and Lucas finding 2 more out on the B bomb site, and now it's down to Rush trying to hold himself off, finding one against Steel. He is going to have to deal with a flank in a moment here. I believe coming in from Henny over towards the A bomb site, but look, he walks right up. Thankfully, Bolts is there for the trade to close down, but that could have gotten out of hand very quickly if he got that trade kill up on top of the broken wall platform as well.
Yeah, Rush knew a guy was flanking him, so he just felt he had to make a move. He ends the round with 3 kills. But Henny, beautiful headshot onto Tarek there. Runs around the APC, gets another one on Naf, and that's A, completely taken. Puts those B guys in a bit of a pickle there. So OpTic, they full buy here. They have a lot of nades to work with as well. 4 HE grenades, and we saw Virtus Pro do this actually. As soon as somebody was seen a B, they naded everybody on that B side. So I think they're taking a little bit from their playbook.
As we do see the rest of OpTic, however, stacking up into this bomb site, we see the nades broil forth out onto that platform. The damage, though, is not what they were expecting. Rush is taken down and dropped, so that'll be control gained very early on here for the guys on the Immortals. But they're not actually going to execute the beat. Looks like they're actually falling back to rotate away from this one currently. So they're going to give it up to play back a little bit as they've taken some damage themselves, and it's very important that they obviously get off to a much cleaner start than OpTic did with these first 3 rounds. But Naf playing behind the box there. He may have himself a chance in a moment as Bolts is going to recommit, but this is all to sell it into the B bomb set and keep these CTs plastered here. If he goes down, it's not the biggest deal in the world, so long as the remaining 4 can get free access over to the site. He is going to be able to sell it. There you go. There's that first pickup. And that'll recommit everybody else that's remaining on OpTic right now into this B bomb site. The A side is wide open for the taking, so they're going to walk right up and have a free plant because of this one. So very well positioned, and there's not even really a need for Bolts to go back into the B bomb site after that when he can just fall back and wrap around and regroup with his teammates, as they're going to be able to hold off onto that site now and probably not have too many issues here. Tarek's trying to hold a close angle against this against the murder hole here in the event that FNX tries to push through it, but not going to happen, and he's spotted on the way back out, so it looks like it's actually just going to be called as a save for the final 3. They all have armor at the very least, so it is going to give them a little bit more firepower going into that 3rd round, but Immortals don't want to let them save. They will move out to hunt these guns down.
Yeah, not much for OpTic there on that anti-eco. Once that nade stack is seen, as Bolsha shoots eco in the back, and FNX gets 2 nice kills at the end there. As soon as that nade stack's seen, they pretty much know only like 1 person is A. They get an early kill, make it 4v5. They don't have any panic. They just go back to A, group up, and I'm telling you, man, that extra, round time, that extra 10 seconds from 145 to 155 actually allows you to do a lot of plays like that. But OpTic tried to take a little bit from that Virtus Pro play. I'm not sure if Virtus Pro was the first one to do it, but I did see them successful with that nade sack. Now OpTic tried that as well, but Bolts, he was the one at B there, kind of saw what was happening and didn't get caught by it.
Bolts leaping back down, actually doesn't check behind him. He's still going to get the kill, heavily injured there on 20 HP. At the moment, doesn't seem to matter. Still runs into Rush, who's going to be able to execute things pretty nicely, but immediately traded up by Steel, and then Lucas finding the final kill as well. Very quick on that run, as we do pretty much, things go pretty much as expected there. Mortals pushing themselves ahead now to a 12-6 lead.
Oh yeah, and a commanding lead at that. 12-6 T-side of Cobble, and they have a ton of money to work with, and there's no op on the OpTic side. In fact, they even have an ump on Eco. Mixwell, Rush, Naf, and Tarek all on M4s with limited utility as well. They have 1 Molotov, they have some smoke grenades, but not much in order to stop and any type of a full-on take by Immortals.
Speaking of a full-on take, they are moving very quickly up through the Broken Wall platform. Smokes and whatnot give them a whole lot of room to work with all the way up to this box. FNX has gotten for free. No resistance at all, so they are going to deploy smokes and everything else. FNX actually getting some good intel here too, but he's flashbang, so he's pushed back initially. Tarek, he'll hold on the bottom side of this one. 1 for him, trying to go for more, but traded up by Steel, who's still willing the map 10. And now just sitting in a Molotov there. He's going to be dropped down to 20 HP. But it will give the guys on the Immortals enough coverage. These smokes will be able to get up onto the bomb site, plant the bomb. We've seen Bolts pick up an additional kill here, so slowly the guys from OpTic are just getting whittled off 1 by 1. They cannot hold in that site, as Immortals keep up the aggression even after they get full control behind their smokes. And he's going to roll right into the drop, find that final kill, and it's up to a 13th now for the Brazilians.
Yeah, 13-6. They barely even lose anybody on that take, ending the round with either 3 or 4 alive there. Tarek does actually a pretty good job of killing 1 and doing a lot of damage. Unfortunately for OpTic, after Tarek takes that contact, they had nobody else peeking. Nobody was peeking from site, chicken coop, or the flower pot area. So nobody could capitalize off all the attention that he garnered there. And because of that, they bulldoze across the site and end up winning the round. Naf gets a nice scout shot onto Bolts, puts him down to about 30 HP, but not much for OpTic to utilize here. 0 nades, just 3 pistols, a shotgun, not even a Mag 7 at that, just a Nova and a Scout.
Eco sitting back with a shotgun as well. Yeah. They'll try to play with this one in Suicide in the event that the Immortals swing this over towards an A hit, but they've been having a lot of success on B, so they may just actually stick with that plan since OpTic are going to be back down onto another eco. Early on, though, they've been able to do some semi-decent damage, actually, to the guys on the Immortals here. Henny and Bolts both being brought down to just about 30 HP each, so they will have to back up a little bit upon this one and maybe even rethink their strat. However, I don't think they're going to do that. They're just pulling off the pressure a bit so they can recommit in a second. They're going to sell in the other direction. Still definitely leaning heavily currently towards a B hit. But as the winds change a little bit, the bomb is actually working its way outside of the mid-connector. Naf even moving up there to try and see if he can finish the job after tagging a couple of these players before, but he himself is actually going to get tagged a little bit, so he's got to be cautious there. No connection, though, but that pressure on the scout is almost certainly going to solidify the push in the other direction, so maybe Hiko will get a chance to use this shotgun after all. Just holding in the safe position up on the site. It's going to be Tarek, though, that actually finds first blood in this round, moving in, eliminating Henny, now going back further into the site behind the APC, just waiting for these guys to get up close so he can use that Eagle better. Lights up another player. Here comes the shotgun, but it's running out into the open, and it doesn't find anything at all. Hiko is immediately killed, and FNX just waits for those B rotators to move back in. All that's left alive now is Naf with the scout, and it seems like the Immortals have survived through this round.
Yeah, and they survived with very low health, 12, 29, and 6 for Immortals, FNX, and Steel. But at the end of the day, you know, OpTic not able to capitalize off Naf tagging 2 or 3 people there. And instead, it's going to be 14-6, and Immortals winning another round very, very cleanly. I mean, they have just tons of money right now on each of their players. This is going to be... It almost seems like an impossible task for OpTic to come back, because by the time they actually break Immortals' money, Immortals is basically going to be able to buy every single round. You know, worst case scenario, they're going to have pistol half armor. Or pistol armor and nades, sorry. So by the time they get them to save, they're going to be getting 3,400 every round. So this is like one of the most difficult comebacks for you to come back on, just because of the economy.
Well, the full investment does come in from OpTic, and it could be one of their last ones here. Mixwell is just caught with a nade in hand as they are swinging out immediately through the mid-connector, and they're not stopping either. Lucas going directly up on top. They will have to deal with Hiko from the long position, but beyond that, they already have the site. And this is like 20 seconds into the round that they've been able to accomplish this, so they're not putting stops on anything. They have left quite a few players alive from the OpTic side of things, but Henny's already accounted for the flank from Hiko, so he's going to be waiting for that. I don't think he realizes he's down below just yet, but this is going to be a very important duel, as this could open up another avenue for OpTic to really try to crunch on this retake. The main brunt of it, though, is still just going to be coming directly from the B-bomb side. And there's Henny getting the spot on the Hiko. He counters that back out, and now they're in the clear on that side. More going to try to push back in. They actually do try to fall back, at which point Bolts had gone into drop. But with the loss of Hiko, they no longer have any advantage they can work with on that retake, so they call this off and are going to go for the save.
Wow. I don't think going into this, either of us really would have thought that OpTic would be down 15-6 to Immortals. I think, you know, I would have definitely thought this would be a very, very close game. But right now, Immortals is just destroying OpTic. Rush able to get 3 kills. So salvages a little bit there, but, you know, at the end of the day, those 3 kills are pretty non-impactful, right? Immortals has so much money. They don't really care. They're fine trading a 3-for-1, you know, if they win the round, you know, chasing. So Immortals completely fine with that. And game point.
And not really giving any extra gun power over to the OpTic side of that one either, since they were already on full rifles
or anything. Exactly.
So it still works out good for the Immortals here despite the losses. Naf tries to play aggressively, but a smoke gets in his way, and FNX just hopping his way over towards the Broken Wall platform, destroying Tarek. Heavy cost to it. He's down to 10 HP now, so someone else is probably going to have to take the charge as they do swing back out onto the site itself, and down they will go. Where's OpTic, though, as they have this smoke wall across the site, and just now Naf is leading up to it. I think Naf saw Lucas going back behind it, though, but Steel's going to take down Naf before he can do anything. Look at Lucas just walking behind enemy lines right now. He has such a huge press in these guys, and I think they realize it. No! Lucas is able to just wait this one out. 1 kill for him. He catches Mixwell twitching out from his pistol, but he is still able to find the frags. This goes 2v3. Mixwell and Rush now looking to clutch this one back out. Rush takes the duel in the open, and he's going to win it, but it's just barely. He's at 14 HP. Steel eliminates his teammate, and as Rush peeks out from the big box, it's going to be the Immortals to close it out and shut down this map. 16, I believe, to 6 is going to be our final scoreline for this one, and they will indeed dominate on Cobblestone.
Yeah, a fantastic performance from Immortals there. I mean, it didn't even seem like on their CT side, the way they won the rounds wasn't like they were taking big risks. It wasn't like they were, you know, just just adapting to what OpTic was doing. They were like holding their spots, playing a pretty default type of setup and just destroying the OpTic guys. And they did it in a way that, you know, doesn't give you much confidence if you're an OpTic fan for their Cobble, right? If they lose that in that fashion, but they're losing because, they're taking these risks and they're stacking different points of the map, then you're like, all right, they just have a really good read on them. But they didn't win like that. They won by just playing very default, CS on that CT side.
All right, so to talk more about this, of course, we're going to send it back over to Stunna and Buck. Guys, let's get your thoughts on map number 1.
Well, thank you, Blue. Thank you, Dazed. And you know what? Not quite the matchup we thought it was going to be, but nonetheless, still some good Counter-Strike there out of the Immortals side.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at that game and thinking, this is probably going to go to overtime. This is going to be a really close game. But in general, OpTic was just really lackluster on their T side, like Dazed had touched upon at one point. The loss of Stanislaw really shows on this map.
Right. I mean, when we look at this OpTic T side, we break it down a little bit further. It looked and it appeared as though they were getting caught on these choke points just a lot. And when that was happening, they were getting mowed down. We even saw situations where they had prepared pop flashes to counter some of the stuff that they expected to see coming here from Immortals CTs. It didn't manifest quite how they wanted.
It really felt like it had kind of like fallen back to what Cobble was maybe like last year when the map was first put into the active rotation for a lot of players after all the changes had come through and we had started to see teams actually picking it. You would see teams that were just like default B over and over and over and over and over again. Like just go fast B as fast as you can. And it was working for some teams at the time because the timing was just rough. The CT side and T side kind of clash at the Broken Wall. And I feel like OpTic just kind of fell into that trap where nothing was working. So they're like, let's just go B. Well, over and over and over again that happened.
In terms of just pure timing and chaotic just fashion that we did see in some of these rounds. Let's take a look now at round 15, the last round of the first half. Bach, talk us through it.
So, I mean, this was that setup. They try to go fast towards the Broken Wall. The mollies were down. They smoke it off. They flash their way through. Kills are going each direction. The smokes are not exactly where they need to be. I mean, Steel cooks back in Chicken Coop. It comes down to a 3-on-2. This is a round that OpTic should theoretically be able to win, but they lose Tarek through the smoke as Henny just fires away with the AWP. The bomb's planting on the far side of the fountain, so he's caught out. I mean, it just was awkward timing, position, smokes, like just nothing was really working, so they just started playing fast. And even the fast play didn't work.
Now, this fast sort of play we did see come out of that side, we saw a lot of OpTic committing in numbers to one side or the other of the map. And oftentimes that would lead to those choke point scenarios where they would just get mowed down.
Yeah, I mean, they would never necessarily be like, let's throw a fake or let's like put some presence towards B early and then fall back. In general, it's like, we're just going to go long B. And that's what's going to happen. Like that round, we were at like, what, a minute 30? And Naf is already on the other side of the smoke waiting for a pop flash. And that just was the kind of the story of that first half. And then when we came into the second half, we saw Immortals playing a little bit slower, but then towards the end, they started doing the same thing. They realized they were beating OpTic Gaming down. The confidence was starting to fall away. They were like, they catch Mixwell and Mid coming into the end of that game. He's just not even prepared. They just run right through the door and shoot him in the side of the head. That started to really happen a lot. And Immortals just took over.
Now, in terms of taking over, let's talk about a player on the Immortals side. Let's talk about Bolts.
I mean, Bolt's performance, he's not necessarily a player you're going to look at and be like, oh, he's going to be like the top performer. We highlighted, Henny, and we talked about how they lost Phelps. Bolt's really came alive here. 21 and 14 and 112 ADR. That's definitely something to look at. Pretty impressed with his performance because even though he is a good player, he was never one that I looked at in the past and I highlighted him as the profile player for the team.
Absolutely. I mean, okay, so if we take a step back to the other side of the equation here on the OpTic side of things, we did talk a little bit about Peacemaker coming into the equation. Is this a situation where Peacemaker, having been involved with these guys in the past, or even working closely with some of them in the past, should it have more of an impact here against this team today?
So here's an interesting thing. I'm sitting back with the observers watching the game, and I noticed Peacemaker was not there.
Oh, well, how about
so
that?
I don't know why he wasn't there. But Peacemaker was not in the game. That doesn't mean he's not, in the background talking or walking through anything. All I noticed was, we had the coach from Immortals in the server, but Peacemaker was not present.
Well, Peacemaker's not present, but who's present? That's OpTic and Immortals, and that's going to be our second matchup when we come back from this break. We'll be right back after this commercial.